So today I'm going to tie my favorite old school stonefly nymph called a bitch creek. So this is it here. It's a pattern probably out of the 60s or 70s. I don't know. I grew up with it in Montana. So we're going to start, since we're going old school, we're going to go all the way old school. So we're going to start with a 79580 hook. Original packaging there, which is a 3 extra long heavy wire hook. So we got a nice big fat long hook. One old school also, and am using old 3/0 monocord again from the 70s. So we'll get this started on our hook here. Get down a good thread base. This fly is intended to be a very heavy deep fish nymph fly. So got, again, old school lead wire. So we're going to get this started on the hook and lay down a nice tight lead base for this fly. Those wires all nice tight touching wraps. Get up near the head here. Gonna leave room to work with, and then we're gonna just start the wraps back. And this is gonna give us some heavy lead up in the thorax area. So break that off. Break my lead off back there. And then get it covered in thread. Make sure it's not going anywhere. Big loose wraps to get it across. And reverse the direction. So we're getting that down. So the lead's not going to open up and spread as I tighten on the turns. And then the secret with this fly is we want to have that stonefly profile. We're going to take 2 more pieces of lead. We're going to tie them in on the side of the hook, right behind that lead for the thorax. We're going to tie this lead in, finish it off right at the end. Helicopter that. Tie it in on the other side of the hook. And this will give our fly a very flat, wide body profile. Ending lead right at the back of the fly. So now, got all this lead tied on this fly, and we're going to tie in the body material, tie in the tail. I didn't go old school on this. This is some black barred silver round rubber. Typically would have used black, or the original fly would have used white, because the only rubber we could get was essentially the rubber that came out of underwear. That's where it started. But now we got so many more choices of color, but we're just gonna tie in a couple tail pieces here, keep them cinched and spread. Couple wraps, work them around. Now we're going to tie in our body material. So right out of the probably 1980 something, a little black, a little orange. Fly can be tied with either. With many colors, it can be tied with olive. It can be tied with black. So you can run that down the far side. So the black is coming down the far side of the hook. Gonna wrap that right up to my rubber legs. Come back. Tie in my orange. This will be the bottom color. And I'm tying these on top of that lead that was tied on the side to continue to build that flat stonefly profile. Got both of these wrapped to the very back of the hook. Want the bobbin up fairly close, because what we're going to do now is called the weave, the Bitch Creek weave. And I'd like to take one turn of black before I start to fly. So one turn of black around the hook. So black is on the top, the gold is on the bottom, and I basically loop the black around the gold, bring the gold back underneath, loop the black around it. So I'm keeping the black on top and the gold on the bottom. To give me the two-tone, dark on top, light on bottom of a stonefly. Using my fingers to manipulate that bobbin out of the way. And so you want the bobbin on a short stay so that you can roll your wrists under. And so now I have created a segmented two-tone body on this fly. So I'm going to hold my black, put a capture wrap around my gold. Get that tied off. Then get my black tied off. I'm going to not tie my black off and trim it. I'm just going to get rid of the gold. Black's going to stay back there. Build that taper up so we taper from the back body to the front. My rubber legs a bit. That last wrap kind of squished them down. But you can see now that we've got the segmentation, but it's black on top, gold on the bottom. Now I'm going to take a nice brown saddle hackle, strip the fluff off. Get this guy tied in. Right up to the starting point. Advance my thread and tie in my front rubber, which I seem to have had pre-cut it. Now I seem to have lost my rubber leg. Must have rolled off into my scrap bin. Put my front rubber leg on. I like to start these well back from the eye. X wraps, cinch them up. Get those turned down and sitting on top of the fly. Now we're going to wrap that black chenille across that lead. Give me a nice big fat thorax. It's a meaty fly. Couple of wraps, secure. One thing with chenille, you want to make sure you get all those little bits out or they just bulk up your fly. And then four nice big fat wraps of the hackle. Some turns in there to form our head. Make sure our rubber legs don't get carried away with us. Now that I've got the head kind of built, I will put a couple of wraps in my antenna to keep them from getting too crazy. Come in, whip finish. Careful not to grab those hackles. 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Cinch that down. Trim that thread off. Get my legs and antenna trimmed to size. Stonefly don't have really big. I like to leave them a little longer than maybe the natural would so that they've got some wiggle in the water. And there you have the Bitch Creek Nymph, tied old school on an old school long shank hook with chenille. You can change up the materials, do whatever you want, but there's another one of my old school favorites from the 70s, and it's still my go-to kind of searching pattern stonefly nymph. Hopefully this was useful. Thanks a lot.